Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keith, and today I'm going to show you how to make something a little bit unusual that I might have invented myself. I'm going to make a burger bomb. So before we start, shout outs to a couple of new fans on Patreon. We've got Finn Marius and Christoph. Hi guys, thank you. And also shout outs for normal people. We've got Oscar Aitchison and we've got Ellis Dunn, who actually made a request for that late night Mancunian classic, rice and 3 curries. Well, mate, I'm not doing that. Not for nobody. Although I'm sure it's delicious. And also shout outs for Chavan and Fitz. Hello. Right, the burger bomb. Well, it's it's a burger in a bun, except it really is literally in a bun. It's baked inside a chunk of bread. And I've made it before and it's pretty fantastic. You probably wouldn't make it all the time, but it looks astounding. And the best thing is, you know, normally when you eat a burger and all the bits and the lettuce and everything fall out, it doesn't happen with this because they're all contained within some really nice tasty bread. So let's do it. So first thing we need to do is make the bread dough. I'm going to have enough probably for, well, 2 decent sized burger bombs. So I've got 225 grams of strong white bread flour. I've got an egg. I've got 70 ml of milk, 70 ml of warm water, a teaspoon each of active dried yeast, sugar and salt, maybe a bit less than a teaspoon, and a tablespoon of oil. This is rapeseed oil, canola oil. You can also use olive oil if that's what you like. And to finish it, a knob of butter which will be melted and some sesame seeds. So this is basically the same recipe as my soft white bread rolls, but it's a good one for burgers because it does hold together. It doesn't just explode the minute you pick the thing up. So let's get mixing. So we'll add the sugar and the salt, and the keen-eyed amongst you will have noticed those were the other way around. And the yeast. And don't worry about that thing about the salt killing the yeast, because we'll have this done before that has a chance to happen. So just stir those dry thingies together and then add the wet thingies, the water and the milk, the egg and the oil. You may have noticed that I've almost completely stopped using olive oil. That's because I don't live in Spain anymore, and in the UK it costs a fortune. And this is extra virgin rapeseed oil, is nice and tasty, and you know, I like it. So stir those together, get them all nicely incorporated. I might have messed up my quantities there, so I'm going to pop a bit more flour in. Ho hum. Okay, that's more like it. So tip that out onto your worktop and knead it for about 10 minutes till it's nice and smooth and elastic. Kneading dough, the usual thing, fold it into 3, turn it through 90 degrees, roll it out, stretch it, and then fold it again, and turn and repeat a couple of thousand times. So that's nice, smooth, elastic blob of dough. Form it into a nice ball and pop it in your bowl. Cover that with plastic film, leave it somewhere warm for a couple of hours until it's doubled in volume. Okay, while the dough is rising, we can get on and make the burgers. So for the burgers themselves, I've got 250 grams of fatty minced beef. I've got a small onion, pinch of salt, and also I've got a plan to stop the juice from the burger soaking into the bread underneath it, because that really doesn't look nice. I'm going to borrow a trick that's sometimes used in making beef Wellington, which is to make some little crepes that sit underneath, and they kind of insulate or isolate the meat from the bread dough. So for that I've got a couple of eggs, pinch of salt, and maybe a splash of milk. for the assembly of the burger, I'm leaving out the vegetables because they're full of water and they'll just make the whole thing soggy. So I've got some cheese and I've got some French's classic yellow mustard in very tiny letters, mustard. And looking at the ingredients, mustard isn't a key, well, it isn't the biggest ingredient in this stuff. Anyway, it's very special taste, a very unique experience, and I actually quite like it. So there you go. Right, let's make burgers. First thing to do is chop the onion reet small into tiny little dice, which chefs call brunoise. So I've peeled my onion and chopped it in half, and now you just want to slice it as thinly as you can, really, so it'll be like 2 or 3 millimeters. Anyway, I'm not claiming this is how chefs would do brunoise, because, you know, I'm not a chef and don't want to be, but I do want little fine bits of onion. Looks pretty fine to me. So now we'll construct the burgers. I'll just chuck the beef in there and the onion. I might have a bit more onion than I wanted there, but never mind, it'll be nice. And salt, about half a teaspoon. A lot of burger purists will say don't put salt in till the end because it draws out the moisture, but I'm not convinced. I don't know, I don't think so. Just get all that nicely mushed together. Yeah, there is way too much onion in there, never mind. And just basically divide it in two. I've got this ring which will be our former for the burger, so we get a nice regular circular shape, and that's probably 12 centimeters, about 4 inches. I'll measure it later. No, I'll measure it now. 10 centimeters, just under 4 inches. Okay, so that's 1 burger, and that's 2 burgers. So now let's cook them. Okay, I've got some oil, in my frying pan, and that's on medium heat. Need to let that warm up till it's almost smoking. Pop the burgers in. Just give them about 3 minutes each side, and I'm one of those guys who doesn't mess about with stuff. Just leave it alone, turn it over, leave it alone 3 minutes, then it's okay. Okay, just get them out and drain them on some paper, and then get that in the fridge because they need to be completely cool when we put them into the bread dough. Now then, time to make our little crepes. Pop your eggs in a bowl. A little splash of milk and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Just whiz those up. Just want to get the yolks and the egg whites nicely combined. I think that'll do. So let's cook them. Now I've got a bit of melted butter in a small frying pan, and I'm going to pour in a little bit of the omelette mix, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. I know this pan is a little bit bigger than the burger, so that'll be okay. And you want to cook it till it's set, and then flip it over, cook it a bit longer, and then turn it off the heat and set it aside and let it cool. Now what I'm going to do is just trim the omelette or the crepe so that it's the same size as the ring, and feed those to the cook, and these go in the fridge to cool down completely. Right, here's the dough, risen, quite a lot more than I thought. So I've got some flour on my worktop, just tip it all out. Ah, it's alive! It's alive! It really is, and it smells it. Oh, great stuff. So we just chop that into 4 equal bits, and then roll each one into a nice smooth ball. And I've got a baking sheet lined with a silicone baking liner or greaseproof paper, parchment paper, whatever it is where you come from. And I need the ring measure thing. Spread them out so they fill this ring. So they're going to be at least the same diameter as the burger and the crepe. They will expand a bit anyway. And you want to cover those with a clean tea towel, leave them in a warm place for about an hour till they've risen a bit more. And then we'll assemble and bake the burger bombs. You want your oven preheating to 180 degrees Celsius if it's a fan oven, a convection oven, or 200 if it isn't. And here's my dough. So I put these in rings, which may or may not have been a good idea because they seem to have stuck. So let's see if we can de-stick them without trashing them. Right, here's a tip. Don't do that, because that is perfect as a bottom for one of the burgers. So we'll use that. We'll put a crepe on it, and then we'll put a good old squirt of French's classic yellow and the burger, and a good old squirt of ketchup, and some of this fake cheese. And we'll pop the top on. So just moisten the edge, a bit of water, and then raise the bottom up to meet the top and kind of smooth it together. Looking pretty good. So we need to glaze them with egg wash. I know I said earlier to use a bit of butter because that was what I would do with the soft white bread roll recipe, but this egg wash gives it a shinier and slightly crunchy finish. This is the same mixture that I made the crepes out of. Ready? And now a little sprinkling of sesame seeds, and that goes in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, and I will turn them around halfway through. Right, da bomb. Come and get your bomb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Doot, 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 doot.
That bit looks smaller. I'm going for that one. Ooh, crikey.
Cool.
Where do you start?
At the edge. Dribble in the middle. Do not inhale the ketchup. It's hot.
Yeah, it's good. It's all kind of squidgy and you get all different flavours. What kind of cheese is this?
It's pre-sliced Polish Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it's quite doughy and squidgy and yeah. So is this for me?
Yeah, babe.
Okay, I'll get a plate.
You're posh. Right, burger bomb. Fantastic. Actually, it really is. I mean, you know, the bread's a little bit squished on the bottom, but it's lovely crumb on the top, and it's not falling apart. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. Now please do the usual: likes, shares, comments, subscriptions, donations, patronage, all that good stuff, or just some of it. And thank you for watching, and see you next time.